I'm really excited that you're here for the Britax car seat child passenger safety week event here on MomTV, and we're going to be giving away car seats. Yes, what could be better than car seats, and what could be better than car seats from Britax? Because I got to tell you, I've seen the crash test there, and I wouldn't want my baby in anything else. So I'd like to, first of all, welcome you to MomTV. And secondly, thank you for spending a little bit of your time. We're going to have a real short session on child passenger safety. It's Child Passenger Safety Week. And we are going to not only learn a lot about child safety, we've already got so many comments emailed to us, but also we're going to be hearing from the experts, and those are the folks over at Britax who brings you really great products for you and your child. I'd like to welcome to MomTV today Sarah Tilton, who is the Child Passenger Safety Advocate for Britax, and I want to welcome Sarah to MomTV. So welcome, Sarah. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Child Safety Week and what is happening in the world of child passenger safety?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for the invitation to join you guys again. It's very exciting. As many of you know, hopefully, yesterday was the first day of National Child Passenger Safety Week, and we'll run through this coming Saturday. So across the country, approximately 36,000 certified child passenger safety technicians will be hosting a variety of types of events to make sure that children are being transported correctly, properly, in the right car seat appropriate for their weight, their height, their direction, and just answering any questions that caregivers might have, and making sure that you as the caregiver know how to install that car seat and use it correctly yourselves. We don't want to, and we should not be a service. We're an educator to you as caregivers. And so some of the things about car seat safety that we want to make sure that we focus on, I kind of mentioned direction, installation. You know, when we have a car seat properly installed at the belt path, it should not move more than 1 inch left to right, front to back. Direction, just going through the basic 5 steps of car seat safety. We want to make sure that a child rides rear facing. Best practice is riding rear facing through the 2nd year of life. The American Academy of Pediatrics changed that recommendation back a couple of years ago. And then we want to stay in that 5-point harness as long as possible when they're forward facing. Many people ask, what does forward facing mean? As long as possible mean. And so that is as long as your child will fit appropriately in that harness by weight, by age, and height, all based on the prescription of the specific car seat that you are using. And then we would move into a belt positioning booster seat when the child outgrows that harness, and remain in that belt positioning booster until the child fits a vehicle seat belt appropriately, passing that 5-step test that maybe many of you have heard about. So someone asked about the 5-step test that I mentioned, and that 5-step test is when you evaluate your child to see if they're ready to move into the vehicle seat belt. So when you sit a child in the vehicle seat without a booster seat, you want to make sure that their lower back is all the way against the vehicle seat back. You want their knees to bend at the edge of the seat. You want their feet to be able to touch the floor. The lap belt should ride low across their hip bone, and the shoulder portion of the seat belt should come midpoint across their chest and across the collarbone. When it's up here in their neck, they want to put it behind them because it's aggravating, and then they don't get upper torso, upper body support. A lot of people will ask, why is it so important that their feet touch the floor? Well, I mentioned that the lap belt needs to be low on their hip bones. When their feet do not touch the floor, they pivot their hips forward and scooch out so that their feet do touch. What happens then is the lap belt then comes up into their abdomen in the soft tissue where it's not appropriate and could cause internal injury in the event of a crash.
Let me ask a question. Let me give one of the car seats away before we go into more information. And the way we do that, everybody who's listening, is we are randomly going to select a person. We're actually select 3 of you, but right now we're giving away the first car seat. If you could tweet or here in the chat room, give us one of the tips that Sarah has just, something you just learned from Sarah that perhaps you didn't know before this webinar or MomTV show. Share that with us, and we will randomly select someone to win one of the car seats. And Sarah, I'd also like to ask you, while everybody's tweeting and such, we got a lot of questions before the MomTV show about what is the right weight and the right car seat for my child, and how do I determine that? Now, you might have just gone over that. I didn't get to hear the full answer, but an extension of that too is how important is that rear facing seat? It seems like a lot of moms don't like the fact that they can't actually see the baby, so they resist that. But I know you're a huge advocate of that.
I am rear facing, and I briefly touched on it in doing the 5 steps, and that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that children remain rear facing through their 2nd year of life. Maybe what I should add into that is why it's so important. And the frontal impact is your most common type of crash. In a rear facing car seat, the child's head, neck, and spine are all cradled by that car seat shell during the majority of that energy as the car seat moves towards the point of impact. That's when the highest forces would be applied to the child. When that same child is turned forward facing, what happens is they become susceptible to what you and I as adults would see as whiplash. Well, unfortunately, to the small body, that can be very detrimental. Their skeletal system is not as calcified and not as strong as you and I. So weight has nothing to do with it. Often I hear my child is exceptionally large. You know, they're in the 95th percentile, 100th percentile for their age, so I'm going to turn them. Again, it has nothing to do with their weight. It's all about time and your skeletal structure becoming strong and robust. Many people think about height as well, and most certainly car seats do have a height restriction. People ask about what's the best car seat. Well, the best car seat is the one that fits your child, fits in your vehicle, and you as a caregiver or the caregiver can use correctly each and every time. So sometimes we need features that function well for us, because if we cannot use it, we're less likely to use it correctly each and every time.
So one of the things that I learned visiting you at Britax is watching that crash test. And I was just amazed at even how larger children who are 4, 5, 6 years old are so susceptible to injury in an accident. And I think by then, like, moms are just happy not to strap a kid into a car seat anymore. But can you talk about why it's so important for those older children to be in a car seat or a booster, and how do you make those judgment calls?
So, you referenced the age of 4 and up, and so I'll, talk about those children 4 and up. And once they hit kindergarten and start riding carpooling, and peer pressure is a big thing, they don't want to ride in anything anymore. Keep in mind that the human body does not fit in a vehicle seatbelt. We talked previously about the 5-step test, but they don't fit in a vehicle seatbelt until they are somewhere between the age of 8 and 12, okay? Unfortunately, we have many state laws that are written around age and weight, but we could have 2 children that are the same weight and very different standing heights, and that will play an important role in how they fit in that vehicle seatbelt.
And we had a really good question just submitted. What about winter coats and all of the clothing that our kids wear during the winter months?
Very good question, and that has been coming up a lot as the colder months approach. I just got home yesterday from Michigan, where it was like 50 degrees already. So we want to keep in mind that when we're in the car, very light clothing. Most, if not all, car seat manufacturers, if you go to their user guide or their frequently asked questions on their website, they're going to suggest that you do not put heavy, bulky winter clothing on your child in their car seat. What happens is we think we have a nice snug harness, but in the event of a crash, the forces can turn that very thick coat into the thickness of a piece of paper. And then that introduces slack into the harness system, potentially allowing the child to come out of that harness. And when you take that and add that into the fact that about 60% of parents do not tighten their harness enough. So if you have that heavy coat that becomes very thin in a crash, and they're one of those children whose harness is not tight enough, it could result in severe injury. So suggestions: possibly preheat your car if at all possible. When you get your child outside, put them in their harness without their coat on, and put their coat on backwards until the car warms up. There are some very thin coat ideas out there, varying in price. The other thing is to keep in mind that those heavy, bulky coats and snowsuits are really for when the children are outside playing in the snow. To and from buildings and into cars, they really don't need those heavy clothing. Yes, if you're traveling a long distance in bad weather, most certainly keep them in the car should you need to get out of the car.
And so let's give away another car seat. Sarah just gave some really great tips about keeping your child safe in their car seat during the winter months. Tell us something that you learned about keeping your child adequately warm yet in a car seat, and we will randomly pick someone. Elizabeth will retype the question for me into the chat room for those of you who may be trying to do multiple things, and we'll randomly select a winner in the chat room. I have another question. One of the important things too is that we educate people who are transporting our children. Often a lot of kids are picked up from school by their grandparents or a friend. How do we go about educating our friends, and where can they go to get our car seats, to have their car seats checked that they're properly installed?
Great question, and I just had this earlier as well. The first thing, if we're participating in carpooling or our children are being transported by other parents for various reasons, especially carpooling ideas or events, I suggest that as a group of parents, moms, dads, whoever's doing the transportation, meet, have coffee, cake, and have a brief conversation about how each of you transport your children and how each of you want your child transported. And make sure that everybody's on the same page. because somebody might not be using a booster seat at all. I tell my daughter-in-law, whenever you take a child, anyone's child, into your car, you're responsible, and you should treat that child and transport that child as you would your own. If anyone, your friends, have questions about, is your car seat installed properly? How do I find an event or a technician that can help you? Please visit safekids.org, and on that site you can find coalitions, you can find a technician, and you can find seat checkup events, which I mentioned earlier on, with this being National Child Passenger Safety Week. There are many, many, many events going on across the country through Saturday.
And Sarah, we're going to give away one more car seat. But in order to do that, what I'd like to do is, could you take us through the various car seats that Britax makes? Because first of all, you have that baby taken care of from the time that it's born all the way until it's probably able to drive the car itself. Can you just take us a little bit through the different models? Because even I get confused. I'm like, okay, front, rear, booster, the marathon, whatever.
Yes, definitely. So Britax does offer a line of car seats from birth through belt positioning booster. And our first platform would be rear facing only, or otherwise known as that infant car seat. They have many, many benefits to them, because that very newborn child, you can take the car seat out, snap it into a stroller, carry it into the restaurant. We offer two platforms, the Be Safe and the Chaperone, and they have very different features. Be Safe has a harness slots that you rethread, and the Chaperone has an anti-rebound bar on the base with a no rethread harness. We then offer a full line of convertibles, and a convertible is a car seat that can be used rear facing and forward facing, and those seats start as little as 5 pounds, so they can be used from birth, and they go through 65 pounds. Just a couple of weeks ago, we launched a very new convertible line, which is very exciting to us, with the Click Tight installation feature. And Click Tight installation makes the installation of your car seat as easy as putting on your seat belt. So if you haven't seen that technology yet, please visit our website or go to YouTube and see that. We do offer 4 different platforms overall in convertibles. We offer the Roundabout G4, and that is a maximum of 55-pound capacity. It's kind of like the first step into convertibles. And then car seats in any brand are much like a motor vehicle, a car that we drive. As we add features, we add price. The next step up would be the Marathon, which gives you 65 pounds in harness, and it gives you a no rethread harness system, so you just squeeze at the top of the head area and raise the head restraint and the harness height. We then offer a Boulevard, and we offer a Boulevard Click Tight. That brings in that U-shaped head restraint, minimizing the lateral movement for that child's head, neck, and spine during a potential side impact. And then we offer the Advocate, which brings all of that into play, and the side impact cushion technology on the outside of the car seat shell. So each one of those, again, adding features, easy to use features, or fit features, or comfort features for the child. And then we offer a harness to booster platform, which many in the industry refer to as a combination seat. That simply means that it's a forward-facing only seat. It can be used in with the 5-point harness. We offer 2 weight capacities. The Pioneer goes up to 70 pounds, and then we offer the Frontier and the Pinnacle that both go to 90 pounds with the internal harness and includes Click Tight installation technology, which we launched that technology last year for the first time in April in the harness to booster category. And then it will convert to a high back booster up to 120 pounds. And our last category would be that belt positioning booster, the Parkway SG and the SGL. So SG stands for Secure Guard. It is a clip between the child's legs the lap belt slides into and creates a fourth point out of your seat belt, preventing the child from submarining underneath the lap belt. And the SGL includes lower anchors so that when that booster seat is not occupied, you don't have to worry about remembering to buckle it in. Very important in carpool lines when you can't get out of your car, to keep that booster seat from being a flying object.
Well, that's an amazing array of car seats. So to give away the last car seat, I would like everyone to tell me just one of the amazing car seats that Sarah just talked about. Just tell me about one, and your name will go in the hat, and we'll randomly select someone to win it. So Sarah, as everyone is answering and we're concluding, are there any last-minute advice and tips or anything you'd like to reiterate to our audience?
You know, just the most important thing is if we take a small amount of time to make sure that we read the labels on our car seat, the user guide that comes with our car seat, and that small portion of our vehicle manual, because each vehicle may have different restrictions. There's a lot of information in there, I know, and it can be very overwhelming. And again, that's where nationally certified child passenger safety technicians can help you. So please check out safekids.org for an event near you. And while this is National Child Passenger Safety Week, it really is to create awareness. These technicians and events are happening every week throughout the year. So while we want to create a huge awareness